all works together.
By the way,
for a very humongous society controlling us.
Well, going back to what you just said, the BBC this weekend had a headline that I showed people yesterday where they said rationing is needed, a credit ration on your card, like you said 20 years ago that they said. Now they're openly proposing you'll have a card and it has your rations on it for everyone for the earth. Every can of corn or beans will have a tax on it as well. But even if you have the money to buy it, you won't get it when your carbon credits run out. I mean, this is neo-feudalism. This is serfdom.
That's right. They're going to tax each can of beans or corn or whatever you have. They're going to determine how much of Mother Earth went into the growth of this product, and they're going to add that to the cost of the product.
As if life hurts life. The whole process of life and death and regeneration of food is what the life cycle is. By taxing carbon dioxide that plants breathe, that all animals exhale, they can corner the entire life cycle.
Yes, that's what they say. In fact, Rothschild said that he wanted to capture all of the carbon dioxide, turn it into dry ice, and ship the dry ice to the polar caps to keep them from melting. That's
and of course,
he's going to take care of it.
And of course, he would make the money off of doing that.
Excuse me, go ahead.
And of course, he would make the money off of that, like Bill Gates patenting all this stuff to stop carbon dioxide.
Oh, yeah, it would take a lot of dry ice to keep the polar caps from melting.
What about Bill and Melinda Gates and their eugenics foundation? Do you ever run into that?
No, I have the Gates Foundation. No,
yes.
I haven't run into. I think it's a passive organization that Bill Gates has. He doesn't seem like he's a killer or anything like that.
Well, we've done research on it. It's carefully guarded, and we've had some internal whistleblowers. I mean, you know, his dad was the former head of Planned Parenthood, and he is for population reduction, and you know, he's busy inoculating the little children.
Oh, didn't know that.
Well, there's a lot
okay.
You've taught us, and there's a lot, you know, that we all can teach each other here. There's so much more to get into, and your ideas of how to stop these people, and more of what you learned about their agenda. But I want to play some of these audio clips. But before I do that, before we get into the occult aspects some more, anything else you want to add, George Hunt?
Not to the spiritual part, but just keep on going, and maybe I can add some things to your talk.
Okay, you sent me 19 clips. We can play any of these clips you want, but I'm going to go ahead and play Maurice Strong, Banking Principles, because it all sounds slick and sweet and loving, but you can break down what he really means by that. And now, 20-something years later, we can see it's all been proven you were correct in what you got from this. But here's Maurice Strong that you recorded at one of the meetings. Here it is.
Now, all I'm saying really is that there are many areas in which it is possible to apply banking principles. Michael Sweetman is a banker. He has run major banking organizations, and when he has proposed this idea, he'll have to talk for himself, but my understanding of it was that it was meant to tap new sources of funding, to channel into these areas in which an important conservation objective can be achieved in a manner compatible with an economic return, a bankable economic return.
Okay, now we see that today. Later in clips, they talk about every corporation and company having to give money to this bank that will then save the environment. Comments on that, George Hunt?
Would you repeat that question, Alex?
Can we turn our audio up to you? I was saying, in these clips, they're talking about banking principles. And,
yes.
And comments on that?
I think if I played the first clip for you, it would make it clearer to your audience.
Okay, let's play clip number 1. Michael Sweetman introduces the bank.
Yeah, there might be more in there for your listeners.
Okay. Here's that clip.
I wonder people are probably still coming in, but I think we need to get on with the agenda. I'm going to ask Maurice Strong to open the session with some remarks. I'm then going to ask him to introduce Mr. Rothschild on my left. And following some remarks from Mr. Rothschild, briefly set the scene, and then we're going to open it to the floor and see if we can get some dialogue and get some response, some questions and some ideas from you. And we'll take it from there. We've got 3 days. We've got various topics that we're dealing with, as the program indicates. We've got some very good people on these panels, and they've come a long way, some of them, to be here. And I really appreciate that, because they clearly indicate an interest. And I think we're going to have a very interesting time over the next 3 days. But not just an interesting time. I hope we're going to have a very productive time over the next 3 days. And we're going to come out by tomorrow night, at any rate, with a resolution which we have to hand to the Resolutions Committee if we want a resolution about the World Conservation Bank in the Congress proceedings, and I trust that we do. So we've got to think about that as well. I suggest what we might do is to cover that at the end of these 2 sessions this afternoon, and maybe
Alex,
some may like to stay back and we could discuss how we proceed with that.
Yes, George, I could hear it. We were finishing the clip you sent us. We're going to break.
It was kind of long. I'm sorry. There.
No, it's fine. It's good. Okay. It's great.
We're going to introduce the bank. Did you hear that we have to present this tomorrow? And so we convened here with you to get your ideas towards this bank. It was a con job. It was
sure. I mean, the UN always has its plan already set, and then they just have a meeting with some of the elitists, and then it's already been ratified. Stay there. We're going to come back and go over more of this. Got a bunch of clips coming up. Stay with us. Endgame Blueprint for Global Enslavement on DVD, 2.5 hours long, 40 minutes of extras. Their whole master plan, their own statements. We have George Hunt, who ended up in some of these meetings, high-level elite meetings by a twist of fate, and started investigating them, going to some of the sub-meetings over the years. He is with us today, and his website is thebigbank.com, where you can get a documentary film he made along these same lines. Now, got a bunch of clips here, 19 clips, and I want to play Rothschild Sums Up the Conference. I want to play some of the other clips. Rothschild International Communism introduced. I want to go over these, but first off is 17. You want to play 17, David Lang. Now, tell people who David Lang is, George Hunt.
Yes, he's a international banker from Montreal, Canada. He's a close friend of Michael Sweetman, the president of the World Conservation Bank.
Okay, let's go ahead.
Said about us.
Yeah, this is what he had to say about us. Here it is.
This looks like David Lang from Montreal. He's always full of awkward questions, this chap.
Until recently on the balance sheet, there were billions of dollars still listed as existing, which have now been written off. And so those surpluses have a bad habit of disappearing when the auditor finally gets his hands into the balance sheet. I suggest, therefore, that this be sold not through a democratic process. That would take too long and devour far too much of the funds to educate the cannon fodder, unfortunately, which populates the earth. We have to take almost an elitist program that we can see beyond our swollen bellies and look to the future in time frames and in results which are not easily understood or which can be, with intellectual honesty, be reduced down to some kind of simplistic definition.
That's an amazing statement, George Hunt.
Yes, it's amazing, all right. It turned my gut, and that's why I'm talking to you today, Alex. It just offended me so much.
We're the cannon fodder that are unfortunately on the earth, and they're talking about billions of dollars they already had in their banking system, and how and talking about our property as if it was already theirs and how they were going to get it.
Yes, sir. And they're eliminating population all the time through AIDS, through mercenary armies, through people like the Black Guard people that were, we just found out that they were tied in with the CIA. They're going murdering Iraqis. It's, the American people have to do something about it, or, and we have to change our leadership. We have to get Cheney, get Cheney up to the bar, to the Justice Bar, and find out why Halliburton hired these Black Guard people that are killing citizens. It's all over. It's all through our society. We can't stop our government either. They just keep on killing.
Well, we do have State Department Memorandum 200, where in 73, secretly to the CIA, it was U.S. government policy to use IMF and World Bank loans to force third world populations to reduce their population by at least 50%.
Yes, that kind of stuff. That goes on. It goes on all the time, I guess.
Amazing. There are so many other clips here to play of 19. Well, what should we play next, George Hunt?
Number 10. I think number 10 would be good.
Okay, Rothschild elaborates. Well, you know what? We're going to go to break in a moment, come back with the next hour, and we'll play it when we come back after the 70-second break. And George Hunt will be with us for 30 minutes in the next hour. This is too important. We're going to continue playing these clips, and then specifically for George Hunt, specifically and only for him, on the subject of the phony environmental eugenics death plot movement,